What's good, sports fans? Are you ready to elevate your live entertainment experience? Well, let me introduce you to SeatGeek, an amazing platform that connects you to your favorite events while saving you money. With SeatGeek, you can easily find tickets for sports games, concerts, and so much more, all in one place. The interface is user-friendly, making it simple to browse and compare prices. And one of the best features is the interactive seating chart. You can see exactly where you'll be sitting and how much you'll be spending, ensuring you get the best value for your money. But here's the best part. Check this out. By using my promo code, ChalkItUpSports, you can enjoy a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. That's right, $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Imagine catching that thrilling game or concert without breaking the bank. It's a win-win situation. Plus, you'll be a part of a community of fans who eat, sleep, and breathe live events just as much as you do. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to download the SeatGeek app today. And don't forget to use my promo code ChalkItUpSports for a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. Get excited. Now let's get back to the show. Yeah. What's good? This is your boy Tone, DeShields, the second from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, especially if you're new. Don't just be here for a good time. Make sure you guys are here for a long time. You feel me? Make sure you join the family, join the community. Make yourself a valuable member of this ecosystem. You feel what I'm saying? The content is only going up. More views, more hits, more clips, more reaction videos, more streams, just content. This is what we're doing here, you guys. So make sure you guys lock in. And again, I appreciate you guys for always showing love to the boy. You guys have a lot of options out there. I understand that. I received that. Make sure I'm a part of that schedule. Make sure I'm a part of your programming. You feel what I'm saying? Other than that, man, let's get into it. Let's not waste too much time, man. Y'all know the vibes. Y'all know the energy. Y'all know where my body be. You feel what I'm saying? So we're going to be here for about 45 minutes, give or take. You guys know I like to get in, get out, hit you guys with the daily news, with some updates, give you guys my perspective, give you guys my opinion, react to some of the things you guys are saying, right? So let's not waste too much time here. Some news came across the wire. Some recent news came across the wire as it pertains to the Philadelphia Eagles and their injury report. And Nolan Smith has been placed on IR with a tricep injury. Now, we do remember Nolan did injure his tricep in the Super Bowl, and he had got surgery over the course of the offseason, but Nolan is now being placed on IR. We likely won't see Nolan Smith until after the bye week, and that'll actually be perfect timing because the bye week is week 9, and week 10, we have the Green Bay Packers, and that's going to be a pretty high-profile matchup. But prior to that, week 4 to week 8, we have Buccaneers, we have Broncos, we have Giants, we have Vikings, then we have Giants again. So losing Nolan Smith is obviously not what you want. Nolan Smith is a valuable member of this team. Nolan Smith sets the edge very well on defense, plays the run very well. He knows how to slice through and get pressure on the quarterback. I don't think Nolan has a sack on the season just yet. But nonetheless, Nolan is somebody that you want to have healthy. And Nolan has been battling injuries since he's been in the NFL. And that definitely is going to hamper or put a little dent on his negotiating power whenever his contract talks come up. But that's for a later date at a later time. As it pertains to today and the next few weeks, Nolan will be on IR, nursing that tricep injury, and we likely won't see him until after the week 9 bye week when we meet Green Bay. Also, the Eagles have placed cornerback Jacorian Bennett on IR and wide receiver Darius Cooper on IR as well. Now, the Eagles still have plenty of bodies at receiver. You got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jihaad Dotson. You have John Mechie. I'm sure they're going to elevate someone from the practice squad. I have to do my due diligence and find out who they will elevate. But Jacorian Bennett's been placed on IR. Darius Cooper's been placed on IR. And I think Adoree Jackson will be out for this week as well. We still don't know the extent of his injury, but there's a strong chance that you're going to be without Adoree Jackson as well. So a lot of injury news coming across the wire. That was a really tough game the Philadelphia Eagles got out of against a very tough Los Angeles Rams team. And it took a lot out of that team. It took a lot out of them to create that comeback, right? They did it in dramatic fashion. They did it in dominant fashion. And your Philadelphia Eagles are 3-0 because of it. But it did have its casualties. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Jacorian Bennett got hurt on the blocked kick return that Jordan Davis took to the house. I think that's how he got hurt. I think he tried to block or take out the holder from picking up the ball. But overall, nonetheless, you're going to be without Jacorian Bennett. You may be without Adoree Jackson, no Darius Cooper, no Nolan Smith. The Eagles did elevate Marcus Epps, Cam Latu, and Perry Nickerson to the active roster. Perry Nickerson is a cornerback. We know Cam Latu at tight end and Marcus Epps is a safety. The Eagles also signed linebacker Lance Dixon, defensive back Eli Ricks, and wide receiver Quez Watkins to the practice squad. Now, we all don't really have the best relationship with Quez Watkins, right? Jihaad Dotson has done more for the Eagles in a short amount of time than Quez Watkins. Well, let me put it this way. Jihaad Dotson has been somebody that's more reliable than Quez Watkins ever was. Let's just call it what it is. But Quez Watkins has been signed to the practice squad. He knows the organization. The organization knows him. They're familiar. And he has an opportunity to make some NFL money. So I'm never gonna down a guy for getting signed to a roster, for being available, for being ready. I'm never going to down a guy for just being able to make some money on the practice squad, right? Make your money, young fella. Make your money, save it, do what you got to do. Try to make an impact any way you can. But I'm not the biggest Quez Watkins guy, and that's separate from him as a man. I just don't care for him as a player. But get your money, young fella, nonetheless. So yeah, man, the Eagles have some moving and shaking to do, and they have a respectable matchup coming up this week. The Philadelphia Eagles will be traveling to Tampa Bay to face off with the Buccaneers, a team that they know very well, a team that they've lost their last 2 meetings against. It just so happened that both meetings were on the road, and both meetings the Eagles were very injury-riddled at key positions, like right tackle. AJ Brown was out. Devontae Smith was out. You were without some guys on defense that went out in the game because of heat exhaustion. You know what I mean? I think it's supposed to be well over 100 degrees when the Eagles play the Buccaneers at 1 p.m. on Sunday. But this is a team that the Eagles know well. The Buccaneers have their own fair share of injuries as well. As a matter of fact, if I'm looking at the Buccaneers injury report, they're going to be without Mike Evans, right? I think they also have, let me make sure I got this correct here. Yes, so Mike Evans is going to be out multiple weeks with a hamstring injury, which is going to put their young rookie wide receiver, Emeka Ibuka, in that wide receiver 1 role. And he's been playing pretty well for them. We'll see if he can take on the mantle, if he can take on that workload and be the number 1 guy. But not having Mike Evans hurts the Buccaneers. And obviously the Philadelphia Eagles having to rely on Kelee Ringo puts them in a precarious position as well. But again, I say, Again, I say the Buccaneers are without their number one wide receiver in Mike Evans. They likely won't have Chris Godwin in that game, most likely. I think Chris Godwin won't be back until maybe week 5 or week 6, depending on whatever it may be. But it could be worse. It could be worse. That's something we do have to keep in mind. If Kelee Ringo is going to get the start, and I think Vic Fangio spoke about it in his press conference. He said, listen, I told Kelee Ringo, even prior to the season, be ready, because when that opportunity comes, we're going to need you. And that opportunity came much quicker than we expected. So Kelee Ringo likely will get the start next to Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. You're going to be without Nolan Smith, so your pass rush and your run defense does take a hit. But even in losing Nolan Smith, I say you still got Jalen Hunt, you still got Zadarius Smith, you still got Josh Uche, right? You still got some guys. Obviously, that interior defensive line is playing at a high level right now. You still got guys like Jihaad, Campbell, Zack, Baun, who are able to set the edge, guys like that who are able to get into their run fits, that play the run well, Cooper DeJean, so on and so forth. Reed Blankenship plays the run well. So not having Nolan Smith hurts, but I think the Eagles can get by, especially with the matchups that are coming up. I think they'll be okay. But that cornerback 2 position, I think that's the crux of everyone's concern. And it makes sense. It makes a ton of sense. Kelee Ringo hasn't been somebody Eagles fans have really held in high regard. Understandably so. He was supposed to be the guy coming into the season, and he got beat out by a 30-year-old Adoree Jackson. He got beat out by a new face in Jacorian Bennett. You feel what I'm saying? That doesn't bode well for Kelee Ringo. It doesn't. So now you ask him to come in a big game, actually, a crucial game, because I personally believe if the Eagles finish this 4-game stretch at 4-0, I think they go into the bye week undefeated. That's how confident I am in this Eagles team right now. That's how much better I think they are than their upcoming opponents. Remember, we talked about this first 4 or 5 game stretch for the Eagles. We talked about how difficult it would be, not just because of the talent of the opponent, but what each matchup represented. Right? All those games we played thus far, all those opponents had large chips on their shoulder. They had something to prove, not just to themselves, but to the Philadelphia Eagles. You think about the Cowboys in week 1, everything that surrounded that matchup. Obviously, the Jalen Carter incident happened, right? You couldn't predict that. But going into the game, it was banner night, a lot of pressure. You're the Super Bowl champions, your home opener. Division rival coming into town. It's the Dallas Cowboys. You swept them last year in dominant fashion. Dak Prescott coming back from his injury. A new offensive coordinator, right? A lot of pressure in that game, a lot of variables in that game. Then you had the delay. That game was just weird. But you managed to overcome it, and you win the game. Week 2, you got to face off against your Super Bowl rivals in the Kansas City Chiefs. They beat you in the Super Bowl. You just beat them and blew them out 40-22. They got a chip on their shoulder. They feel like they got a lot to prove. They feel like they got to remind people who they are. And nonetheless, you find a way to beat them and drop them to 0-2. That was a tough game. And you're on the road at Arrowhead. So you managed to survive that matchup. Now you're 2-0. Then the Rams game. We just got finished watching that one. The Rams had a large chip on their shoulder. You beat them 2 times in the last 10 months prior to the game. You beat them in the divisional round, a game that they thought they could win. And you also beat them in the regular season by a large margin. So they felt like they had something to prove coming into the season. They knew it all too well, because if you look at the way they handled everything leading up to that game, the way their social media was acting, the things you heard from players, there was a lot of chirping leading up to that matchup. And the Rams came out guns blazing. They had the Eagles down 19-7. Oh, I'm sorry, they had the Eagles down 26-7 in the third quarter. They had a 19-point lead. They were kicking the Eagles' ass. and the Eagles rallied and ended up beating them 33-26. That's something that would frustrate a team like the Rams. That's not an easy game to overcome. Yet you did it. On top of that, your passing game has been struggling, but it came alive in the second half of that Rams game. The best we've seen the passing game look. So since Super Bowl. So these first 3 weeks have been littered with narratives and so many variables, a lot of emotion, a lot of chips on everyone's shoulder. Everyone has something to prove. These first 3 games have been littered with all those things. And then we get to the Buccaneers game that we have this week. Eagles have lost the last 2 meetings in the playoffs and in the regular season. Didn't look good. Nonetheless, the Eagles recovered from that Buccaneers loss in the playoffs and recovered from that Buccaneers loss in the regular season en route to a Super Bowl win. So although the Eagles won the Super Bowl, the Buccaneers have had their number the past couple times. That's just a fact. Now, granted, in those meetings, A.J. Brown didn't play. He's been hurt. Eagles have had a bevy of injuries. The Buccaneers kind of got off light. They kind of got off scot-free, and they never caught us at full strength. And it just so happens we're not going to catch them at full strength, and they're not going to catch us at full strength. The rosters are going to be what they're going to be. But again, I say, we talked about these first 4 weeks, and we said, if you can get through these first 4 weeks 3-1 at bare minimum, we're on the right track. We knew it would be tough. You have a chance to get through these meetings 4-0. I'm of the mindset, you get past these first 4 weeks 4-0, you're going to go into the bye week undefeated. I really think that. That's my honest mindset. But it's not going to be an easy game. And like my man Alex said, he said a lot of people had the Eagles going 2-2 or worse coming into the season because of the matchups, because of the people they lost in the offseason. You're absolutely right, Alex. You're absolutely right. A lot of people had the Eagles going 2-2 or worse. Some people had the Eagles going 1-3. Seriously. With the only win coming against the Cowboys. Nonetheless, the Eagles are 3-0. And they still have a lot of food left on the table. They still have a lot of room to grow and mature as a football team in terms of just their new identity. So I think the Eagles, all things considered, are on the right track. They can get better. They got things to clean up. And I think there's been something unlocked in that Rams game that can carry over to the Buccaneers game and the rest of the season. We saw that pass game look electric, look dominant. They were aggressive. They were dictating the action. Granted, their backs were against the wall and they had no other choice but to pass the ball. And nonetheless, they turned it into a fight and they won the game. And we saw how good that passing game can look when you actually let your Super Bowl MVP cook. We saw what it can look like. So if they beat the Buccaneers, you start the season 4-0, you're going to beat the Giants. You're going to beat them. So that's 2 wins right there. The Denver Broncos and the Vikings, they're going to present their own challenges. But I think you can beat them as well. Just calling it how I see it. Just calling it how I see it. But these injuries that are starting to pile up at this point, Nolan Smith being placed on IR, Jacorian Bennett being placed on IR, Darius Cooper being placed on IR. Lane Johnson had the neck stinger. He said he should be ready by game day. We'll see what happens. Let me see here. You know, there's just been a lot of roster moves for the Philadelphia Eagles as of late. And they're going to have to overcome it. And now we're looking at Vic Fangio. Now we're looking at Vic Fangio as a guy who has to really get creative here. He's going to have to find a way to prevent Kelee Ringo from being a liability. Shoot, Kelee Ringo is going to have to find a way to prevent himself from being a liability. Now, I will say this. Although Adoree Jackson didn't start the season off well, and he hasn't been the greatest tackler, he began to stabilize. But now he's hurt. And it looked like Fangio was figuring out a way to prevent him from being abused. And then Jacorian Bennett on that final drive against the Rams, he was getting carved up by Stafford and Puka. So when I think about it from that perspective, Kelee Ringo, I don't know. I'm of the mindset that, is it really that big of a drop-off? Kelee Ringo is more athletic than Adoree Jackson. He's a better tackler. He may not have the experience. Obviously, Adoree Jackson beat him out for a reason. Don't get me wrong here. And I'm still not on the Kelee Ringo bandwagon. He's still somebody that I lost faith in. He has to prove people wrong otherwise. This could be an opportunity for him. If Kelee Ringo can go into that Bucs game and hold it down, remember, you still got Quinyon Mitchell. You still got Cooper DeJean out there. You still got Andrew McCuba out there, right? You still have Zack Baun and Jihaad Campbell. Now, I'm looking at some of the injury news. Jihaad Campbell didn't participate in practice today. He didn't have a helmet on, and he was a spectator. Also, Zack Baun had a brace on his left knee. Adoree Jackson's dealing with the groin. So they are a little banged up. They are. But if I'm betting on it, we're going to see Zack Baun in that game on Sunday. We're going to see Zack Baun in that game. Baun had his helmet on, but he had a brace on the knee. I think we're going to see Zack Baun. We're going to see Jihaad Campbell. That's what I think. Also, this is an opportunity for, shout out to my man Antonio Holmes, this could be an opportunity for Matt McWilliams to get some snaps. We'll see. We will see. But Kelee Ringo, don't blow it. Don't blow it. They're not asking you to go up against Mike Evans. You're going to have to go up against Sterling Shepard. Because 9 times out of 10, the Eagles are going to have Quinyon Mitchell on Emeka Egbuka. I believe Quinyon Mitchell can handle that, no problem. Kelee Ringo, if you can't handle Sterling Shepard, man, are the Eagles in trouble? Because although I have opinions about the Buccaneers and their performance the past few weeks, Baker Mayfield overall has been playing pretty well. And he's proven that he can pass the ball consistently and stage late game-winning drives. So you don't want to be in a position where Kelee Ringo is constantly being abused. But again, this is on Kelee Ringo. This is on Vic Fangio finding a way to put him in the best situations possible where he can succeed. That's what it's going to come down to. Also, Will Shipley, he's been dealing with the rib injury, the oblique injury, and Tanner McKee with the right thumb. They were both participating in practice today. Now, they were both inactive against the Rams, and McKee was the emergency quarterback in that game. Nonetheless, both players are practicing. So we likely will see Will Shipley back in the fold. We likely will see Will Shipley returning kicks pretty soon, maybe in the next couple weeks or so. We'll see. Because right now, Tank Bigsby and John Mechie ain't cutting it back there returning kicks. But I think if I'm Vic Fangio, I want to see how much damage I can cause with my front four. Because, Vic Fangio is not the kind of guy that just blitz for no reason. He's gonna execute well-timed blitzes, and he's going to blitz if it's as a last resort. His goal is always to find out if he can get home with 4 first. If he can get home with 4 and not have to blitz, then we're in good shape. But again, you're going to see various combinations of a 4-man rush. You may see Jalen Hunt drop back and see Jihaad Campbell coming down the pipeline. You may see Zadarius Smith drop back and you see Zack Baun coming down the pipeline. Vic Fangio is going to give Baker Mayfield in that offense a lot of different looks. That's exactly what's going to happen. But he's going to try to get home with 4 first, and he may send an additional guy. But you're not going to see Fangio go do any all-out blitzes or zero blitzes. It's going to be very, very rare. Very rare. Let's see if I can find out a little bit more about this Buccaneers depth chart. Because like I said, they're dealing with injuries on the offensive line, injuries at the receiver position. So here we go. All right. Mike Evans, injured. Chris Godwin, injured. Tristan Wirfs won't be playing this week as well. They said they're going to see if he can play, but I doubt he plays. Logan Hall's been dealing with an injury. They're D-end. Kalijah Kancey's on IR. Right? So they got their own problems. But we're going to find out a lot about Kelee Ringo in this game. We're going to find out. If you can't handle a rookie and if you can't handle Sterling Shepard, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what other opportunity he should get. That's just my honest opinion, you guys. Let me get to the super chat right here. My man Kelee Green with the super chat. Thank you. He says, day 3 of asking Michael Clay to add the knuckle kick. Oh, man. First of all, that's got to be something your kicker is capable of doing. You don't want to just start doing something and he doesn't know how to do it and he botches it. Remember, he tried it in that Rams game, man. It didn't land in the landing zone. Shout out to Kelee Green with the super chat. Darnell Williams says, my boy Ringo getting his big shot. Hey, yes, this is his shot. He's going up against a good quarterback. He's going up against some solid receivers in Emeka Egbuka and Sterling Shepard. But here's my thing. As it pertains to those 2 wide receivers, they've been playing next to Mike Evans. Mike Evans demands a lot of attention. Mike Evans is one of the best receivers in the game. Has been one of the most reliable. Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer. So now, when you take Mike Evans out of that equation, that offense has to operate a little differently. They have to operate a little differently. And now the attention is being divided differently on that Eagles defense. Now you don't have to bracket anybody or double anybody. You can trust guys to take care of their business. I think what's going to be important, though, is for Reed Blankenship to make sure that he's getting enough depth in his drop back. Because the only reason he gave up that touchdown to Davante Adams is because he didn't get enough depth. And basically it was a track meet at that point. He couldn't match the foot speed of Davante Adams. Now, granted, Davante Adams pushed off. We know that. But I feel like Davante Adams would have caught the touchdown regardless. He didn't have to push off. Nonetheless, Reed Blankenship is going to be somebody that has to understand that you're not going to outrun Emeka Egbuka. You're not going to outrun him. So get enough depth in your drop back. And I think we'll be in good shape. You know, Fangio is going to keep everything in front of him. And he's going to force Baker Mayfield and those guys to nickel and dime their way down the field. And he's going to try to force them into a mistake. Now, we saw Zack Baun force the interception on Matthew Stafford. I think that was the first interception by the Eagles defense this season. Right? Let me make sure I got that right here. No, the second. I'm sorry, the second. Andrew Makuba intercepted intercepted Patrick Mahomes in the end zone, but Zack Baun's first interception on the season. You know, these guys are athletic, can run sideline to sideline. Zack Baun and Jihaad Campbell can cover with the best of them. So I'm pretty confident in the Eagles' ability to cover this week. I think something that's going to be a key point is defending the run. The Eagles did not defend the run well in that Rams game. And I think they need to get back to the fundamentals, get back to the basics, get back to executing their run fits properly. You saw guys out of place. You saw guys not doing their jobs well. You saw guys getting beat off the ball. It seemed like they were constantly chasing. And the Buccaneers are a team that has a pretty decent rush attack. They got Bucky Irvin at running back. They got Rachaad White. And also, don't forget, Baker Mayfield can get out of that pocket. Baker Mayfield can make things happen with his legs. Alex with the super chat. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. He says, I had the same thought about going undefeated. If we beat Tampa Bay heading into the bye, I told Coach Marcus, but he wasn't buying it. Listen, I'm of that mindset. We get past these first 4 games with the W. I think we're in good shape. That's honestly what I think. Thank you for the super chat, Alex. Darryl Harris says it's Baker versus Jalen. Well, sure, but it's Baker versus the Eagles defense and Jalen versus the Buccaneers defense. The Buccaneers defense is going to do everything possible to offset the timing between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Right? But here's my mindset. Here's my perspective on this. Here's my mindset. I think there's no blitz package Todd Bowles can run or throw at the Eagles that they haven't seen this season. These first 3 weeks, teams have been blitzing Jalen Hurts out the wazoo. They have. Especially in that Chiefs game. Spags was sending 0 blitzes. He was sending 5, 6-man blitzes. It was Spags was, he blitzed him. Jalen Hurts was blitzed the most he ever was in his career in week 2. The most he ever was in his career. Spags blitzed Jalen Hurts the most that he's ever blitzed a quarterback since joining the Chiefs organization. So my mindset is, the way I'm looking at it is like this. If the Eagles and Jalen Hurts were able to handle that and survive that, granted, it wasn't easy, and I think the Eagles are going to be a better team this week than they were that week offensively. I think Jalen Hurts should be able to handle that. I do. I understand people have their perspective on, yeah, Todd Bowles has the book on Jalen Hurts and all those things. Listen, he never caught us at full strength. Never. They never had to deal with A.J. Brown these past couple games we played them. They didn't. That's just my opinion about that. Now, granted, they got their all-pro safety and Antoine Winfield Jr. He's good. Zion McCollum and Jamel Dean at corner, right? They're not world beaters. They're not. They're competent, but they're not world beaters. So I just believe Jalen Hurts is going to be well-equipped for whatever Todd Bowles throws at him. Now, the question is, will Kevin Patullo put Jalen Hurts in this offense in a good position? Because after what we saw in that second half against the Rams, there's no way you can go backwards. Going backwards would be unacceptable. There's no way you can't come out in that game and be aggressive. Now, I'm not saying abandon the run game altogether because you got Saquon Barkley back there. You want to try to get the ball in his hands, but get creative in which you get the ball in his hands. Get creative. Get creative. Utilize Saquon Barkley as a receiver. Get him the ball out of the backfield. Run some screen plays. Run him on some Texas routes. Run him on some wheel routes. Get him out on some swing routes. See, the thing is, Saquon Barkley is a football player. He's not just a running back. He's a weapon. You get Saquon to Barkley the ball in open space, he can make something happen. He can make people miss. He's that kind of talent. He's that kind of player. So stop trying to run up the gut. Stop trying to run up the teeth of the defense and actually utilize your talent. Because if Kevin Patullo thinks that he's going to be able to run up the middle on this Buccaneers defense, he has another thing coming. Vita Vea is still playing at a Pro Bowl, all-pro level. Vita Vea is arguably one of the best nose tackles in the game. He knows how to get to the quarterback. He can stuff the run. He can take up space. You're not gonna win that matchup against Vita Vea. With all due respect to Cam Jurgens, it's levels to this thing. Cam Jurgens is a Pro Bowl center. Don't get it twisted. But we're talking about Vita Vea. Is Vita Vea an all-pro? I think Vita Vea is an all-pro. Okay, he's a Pro Bowler, excuse me. Vita Vea is a two-time Pro Bowler. 6'4", 347 pounds. Cam Jurgens, 6'3", 303. There's a 40-pound difference between Cam Jurgens and Vita Vea. If you think you're going to run up the middle on that Buccaneers team, you be an idiot. So get your ball carrier, get Saquon Barkley the ball in space, run some outside zone runs, some pitch plays. You feel what I'm saying? Some counters. Swing your guards, like pull your guards, like get creative. Get creative in trying to get the ball in Saquon's hands. But, again, I say, you cannot abandon the pass game. You cannot be passive. You can't. It would be a grave mistake. If you got a chance to punch this Buccaneers team in the mouth, you do it. You got too much talent on that offense to be moving the way you've been moving. And on top of that, I watched that press conference with Kevin Patullo. What? Just embarrassing. No accountability. Not trying to set the record straight. Lying in our faces. Lying. This man went into his press conference and said to us, yeah, we went into that game trying to be aggressive. No, you did not. When you run the ball on 3rd and 15, 3rd and 13, 3rd and 18, that's not aggressive. That's passive. You're basically punting the ball on 3rd down. Well, what do they call it? They call it a coward's draw. Patullo, you're not fooling us. I even found it hilarious how he tried to downplay that conversation on the sideline between him and Jalen Hurts. He tried to downplay it. He tried to act like, I don't really remember the conversation, but we're both highly competitive guys. He tried to downplay it. At least Nick Sirianni took accountability. Linda, I hear what you're saying, but at least Nick Sirianni was like, hey, I got to do a better job in putting us in position in the first half. At least Nick Sirianni took some kind of accountability. Kevin Patullo tried to blame special teams. And look, I'm not throwing the kick return crew any bell. They did not field those kicks well. They regularly had the offense starting their drives on the 10-yard line, on the 15-yard line. It was consistent. So I'm not going to pretend like the offense had the best field position when they got the ball. But damn it, KP, to sit there and blame special teams for reasons you weren't aggressive is disgusting. And look, for people who want to criticize Kevin Patullo, I can't defend them no more. The reality is, I was somebody that tried to give Kevin Patullo the benefit of the doubt. Y'all heard me every week, every live stream, every piece of content you saw me in. I tried to be patient with Kevin Patullo. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I tried to say to you guys, you know what? I need a 4-game sample size to draw a definitive opinion or a definitive conclusion about Kevin Patullo's play calling. But quite frankly, all it took was 10 quarters of football for me to look at Kevin Patullo and say, he doesn't know what he's doing. But then somehow, some way, They pulled the rabbit out of the hat in the second half of the Rams game, and all of a sudden that passing game looks competent. So that begs the question. Is it the players or is it the coaching? We know it ain't the players, so that's a rhetorical question. We know it ain't the talent. We know Jalen Hurts can throw the ball with the best of them. We know A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can do anything they want against anybody. We know Dallas Goedert is a top 10 tight end in this league. Some will argue top 6 when healthy. We know when it's on. We know when the offensive line is clicking, they're one of the best. They haven't been playing the best, but I think that will get better. But Kevin Patullo, you can't hide. You can't hide. We saw Jalen Hurts making checks in the second half, audible and so on and so forth. Now, granted, I don't know all the lingo in the communication. Maybe Jalen Hurts was adjusting the protection. Maybe he was doing that. Maybe he wasn't changing the plays. But damn it, that passing game looked like night and day from the first half and the second half, to the point where people questioned, were you even calling the plays in the second half? Was that all Jalen Hurts? Did Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown just play two-man all day and just say, you know what, we got this? Did A.J. and Devontae Smith go to Jalen and say, you know what, fuck all that, we doing us? Like, I'm tired of Kevin Patullo trying to place the blame everywhere else but himself. He blaming the O-line. Oh, yeah, we got to be better in our protections. He's blaming special teams. Oh, yeah, the offense didn't good. They didn't have great field position, so that changed our level of aggressiveness. Bullshit. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that, Kev. I'm not buying it. Being aggressive is a mindset. It's a mindset. And if you don't have that mindset, you're a liability. What A.J. Brown say after the game? We got killers on this team. Let us do our thing. What did Jalen Hurts say after that game? We did it to ourselves. Our performance in that first half was unacceptable. Unacceptable. He said it multiple times. He said, we cannot go out here playing not to lose. We cannot go out here being ultra conservative. We're too good. We're too talented. In my humble opinion, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts took direct shots at Kevin Patullo. Direct shots. So, Kev, your franchise quarterback is calling you out. Your all-pro wide receivers calling you out. Take the training wheels off, take the straitjacket off, and let's ball. What you scared of? What you scared of? Like, come on, man. Dang, I didn't even intend on really going in like this. But you got too much at stake here. You got too much money on that offense, too much talent, too many killers. It's unacceptable, bro. It's unacceptable. And Jalen Hurts took it a step further and said, listen, there are expectations here. Expectations. I think in those interviews, in those press conferences, that was Jalen Hurts drawing a line in the sand. I think Jalen Hurts officially drew the line in the sand. I think he officially put his foot down. Because Jalen Hurts, he's a coach's kid. He likes to remain coachable. He wants to try to put trust in his coaches. I understand that. I understand Jalen Hurts' mentality. You want to trust your coaches. But you can tell in that second half of that Rams game, Jalen Hurts is like, you know what? Nah, we ain't doing it your way no more. Open the playbook or get out the way. Open the playbook or get out the way. And in those post-game interviews, they're not settling with KP no more. They're not settling. They're not settling no more. I never seen Jalen Hurts so impassioned in a post-game interview. When he spoke to Pam Oliver, she asked him what happened. He gave her a long, dramatic pause. You can tell he was trying his hardest to choose his words wisely and not say the wrong thing. You can tell. If you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen, Kev. If you're not with us, you against us, Kev. Now you got narratives out there that the coaching staff doesn't trust Jalen Hurts. We're talking about a Super Bowl champion. We're talking about a Super Bowl MVP. We're talking about a all-pro quarterback, a two-time Pro Bowl quarterback, a Burt Bell award-winning quarterback. And there's narratives out there. You got some of these national guys talking about how or questioning whether or not Kevin Patullo trusts Jalen Hurts to throw the ball. At halftime, Jalen Hurts had to be like, yo, you're not messing up my face card, brother. My name is good in these streets. You're not gonna mess up my street cred. My name is too good in these streets. I fought too hard to get to this point. I fought too hard to win that Super Bowl with these guys. I've been through too much for you to set me back. I've been through too much for you to hold me back. I think Jalen Hurts drew the line in the sand. It makes no sense. It makes no sense for you not to trust your Super Bowl MVP quarterback. But that's the narrative now. That's the narrative that's out there. Because Kevin Patullo won't let his hands go. That's the narrative out there. Because Kevin Patullo won't bust his gun. Call the plays or get out the way. It's just that simple. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. That's our show for today. I really do appreciate you guys for locking in on the content. Like I said, a bunch of injuries have popped up for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jacorian Bennett has been placed on IR. Nolan Smith has been placed on IR. Darius Cooper has been placed on IR. Zack, Baun, and Jihaad Campbell, they didn't do much practicing today. Lane Johnson is recovering from the stinger. He did practice, but in a limited capacity. So that's a good sign. Who else? They elevated Marcus Epps to the roster. They elevated who else? Tight end Cam Latu to the roster. Cornerback Perry Nickerson to the roster. They also signed linebacker Lance Dixon, cornerback Eli Ricks, and wide receiver Quez Watkins to the practice squad. Adoree Jackson likely won't play this week, so that means Kelee Ringo likely will get the start. A lot of pressure is on him these days, so we will see if he can stand up to the task. Mike Evans will be out multiple weeks, so he won't be a threat. So that's good for Kelee Ringo. That's good for the Eagles defense overall, bad for the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers also have an injury in their star offensive lineman, Tristan Wirfs. They're going to try to get him back this week, but it's still a slim chance. Chris Godwin, another guy who's hurt. Will he be back this week? It all remains to be seen. But Mike Evans, that's the big news out of Tampa. He's going to be out for multiple weeks. And for the Eagles, the big news is not having Nolan Smith for the next several weeks, and Adoree Jackson and Jacorian Bennett being hurt as well, and Kelee Ringo getting the start. And like I said, man, I expect big things. I expect big things out of this offensive pass attack going forward. I think if they do better in the passing game and become more aggressive, it'll open things up for everybody else. Let's see more 11 personnel. Let's spread these guys more out wide. We're seeing too many condensed formations, which is making it easy for the defense to attack and close in on Saquon. Let's spread them out. Let's get some 11 personnel out there. Let's have some more empty sets. Let's get the ball in Saquon's hands in some more creative situations. Let's get the ball in AJ Brown's hands, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. You got too many weapons out there. Spread these defenses out and make them make them cover space. And it's straight like that. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II. You guys have been locked in on today's edition of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game.